Well, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Blended Reel again. This is our second episode. We decided and announced last time that this time we were going to talk about parenting the other's biological children when you're in a blended family. Honey?
Yes.
Get away.
Yeah, there's definitely different stages
Yeah.
from when you first meet, and
Yeah, so let's talk about that, like the beginning of first meeting.
yeah, seems to be, well, in our case, there was definitely a honeymoon stage where everything just seemed to go really well, and
Yes.
the kids all got along great, and lots of bonding and excitement and all that
Yes.
stuff.
Yeah, everyone was super excited for us to get married and excited to be in a big family. Both of our families grew a little bit. Mine a little bit more than his.
Yeah.
Hubby here had four kids when we met, and I had one. So we went from this little mother-daughter duo to a big family all of a sudden.
And then the dynamic was a little bit different as well, like with my crew, with the shared custody and
Yes.
and their mom heavily involved.
Yes.
Whereas with Esther, her biological father was out of the country.
So she spent all her time with
Yeah.
me unless he visited.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it was her and I, and then with my husband, it was him and his kids, and then his ex-wife. So I think one of the things that I would say in terms of learning to be a stepmom and the idea of parenting, I say that loosely, parenting another person's children, because of course when you get married and you've got all the children in your house, you and your husband have to be a team and figure out how to parent the kids. And you have to parent your stepkids differently than your own kid, but you also have to make it fair in front of your own kid. And yet not overstep with the stepkids, right?
Yeah.
Does that sum it up?
That was a lot.
Yes.
Yeah. You got this big pot and you like throw a bomb into it and boom, and then you figure stuff out.
Yeah.
I mean, we did good. I mean, there was I think I don't remember the title of the book. I wish I did. If we find it, we'll post it a little bit.
We'll post a link in the description to the title of the book.
Yeah, it was good.
It was. It helped a lot, and I think it was from a Christian perspective, wasn't it?
Yeah. I don't remember much of the book right now. But the one thing I do remember was the melting pot or the stew.
Yes.
It's like a slow cooker.
Yeah, instead of a blender.
Yeah.
Because you use the word blended family, so you think you blend it all up and it eventually looks like one original family. You think that's your goal going in. You never quite get there.
No. Just be patient, let things happen, don't rush things, take things very slow.
Was that
like a stew?
It was like a stew. I can't remember the exact word, but it was like that.
Where you gotta cook slowly, right?
Yes. And then eventually the flavors affect one another, and then you get a nice blend.
Like you just want things from the adult perspective just to be like settled, but there's all these little minds and little people and
with big feelings.
Yeah.
I think you and I were similar minded in the sense that like-minded in the sense that we wanted that nuclear family. That's what we dreamed about. That's what broke for us, and it was really hard. In a sense, when you become a blended family, you have to grieve the loss of what you'll never have.
Yes.
Which is that nuclear family feeling where it's mom, dad, and kids, and everything works out with the kids the way that you and your husband plan on it. Because it's just the two of you as parents. But yeah, we had to. The one thing I remember about the book is it warning me and I didn't believe it when I read it, that there was a honeymoon period and then things would actually get quite difficult with the relationship between step-parent and step-kids, and that then it would take about 3 to 7 years, anywhere from 3 to 7 years, to kind of start feeling like you'd kind of always been part of each other's world. And even though a stepmom will never be the mom, the relationship with the kids is more settled and more defined after that period of time. And the relationships between the step siblings is also more defined. And that sense of family is there because of time, not, and it's nothing you can force. That was what it was. It prepared me to deal with. I didn't really want to believe it because you kind of have this rosy picture in your head.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you just want everyone to, get along and.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Where, you got, like, there's typical sibling rivalry, but then you throw in like a step sibling in the mix, and it just.
Sometimes it's wonderful and it's a novelty and it's fun, and other times it's like Aaron.
Jealousies.
Yeah, exactly. Like Aaron and Esther, absolutely thrilled that they had a sister all of a sudden in each other. And in the beginning, when Aaron was really little and Esther was also little compared to now, they were just like two peas in a pod. You could not separate them. All Aaron wanted to do was spend time with Esther because she was the new sister, the sister she'd always dreamed of, right? So that was challenging when that fell apart. Yeah, and for various reasons. And kids go through very challenging loyalty issues in a blended family. So it's parenting that too. Yeah. But let's talk about you and Esther, because that, I feel like, is less complicated in my mind. But
yeah, I mean, we're still dealing with. I mean, how many years in are we now?
We're 4.5.
4.5 years in. So.
Yeah. So we passed that 3-year mark.
Yeah. But haven't hit that 7-year mark yet.
No. No, but so like with the fact that her biological dad is less involved, do you feel like I know you're not going to feel like her biological dad because you're just not, but how do you feel about the relationship now, or how has it progressed from your perspective?
Has it progressed?
Yeah. Like from that getting to know this child that was just my daughter to her becoming such a huge part of your world. You're putting me on the spot.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there are definitely challenges, but benefits.
Yeah.
Benefits far outweighed any of the challenges. I think we have right now a great relationship.
I would say you do. Yeah.
It's just very natural. I mean, I know I'm not her biological father, but like that doesn't even really enter my mind with her. Yeah. I mean, I respect the fact that she has a biological father. I'll even ask her, like, have you touched base at all with your
with your dad?
With your dad?
Yeah. Well, because you know how it feels to be a father.
Yeah.
And separated from your kids.
Yes, very much so. So I've been. Yeah, kind of careful in that regard. But as far as, the relationship between us, like, that line is, for me, has gotten pretty blurred.
Yeah.
As far as a stepfather, biological father. Again, not trying to replace the biological father. Like, I respect that and wouldn't want to take that away from anybody.
Yeah. It's a different relationship. I think you've done an amazing job, and Esther knows that she has the liberty to have, a relationship with her biological father. She never feels a loyalty bind from you. Like, I know as her mom, she just loves you, and the dad in her life the most of the time. Yeah, but there were definite challenges, I think, for us in terms of getting to the place where, well, for me, having been a single mom for a long time, to let you parent my daughter.
That was a bit of a challenge. I wanted to jump in.
Yeah.
Or just naturally, like, jump in, not intentionally, logically doing it, but just like with discipline and parenting, like where you were always like, oh, you got to slow down. You got to build that rapport, before you come down on her for not doing chores, not doing this, not doing that. You got to build up that rapport. And I remember lots of reminders from you on that, and a lot of lip biting, and then but on a team basis with you was extremely helpful. The way that we
communicated about it
together, or learn to take things aside and
behind closed doors, deal with things in the bedroom, come up with a game plan, and then execute it. I think that's something we've become really good at.
And I respect that it was a fine line for you having this new person in the family.
I was just gonna say, I think that's the difference between men and women, because, well, especially depending on how involved a dad is, and you were a very involved dad, which made me fall in love with you, and you were wonderful with Esther from the moment you met her, and I knew you guys would have a close relationship. But I also knew, women also are a little bit slower to discipline, for instance, than men. That just is generally, the Bible says, exhorting fathers, nurturing mothers, right? So
that's what I was going to kind of say is, we both have traditional family values, and you wanted to, as far as I was concerned, respect my role as husband, father of the home, but still me not having that relationship with Esther to fully encompass that role. Right.
That it took time to get there, and some, in a sense, shaving off of rough edges, right?
A lot of rough edges.
And I had them too, because I had fears and I had baggage. And so there was it took time for you to earn my trust. Even though I trusted you to marry you, it was still learning how you operate as a parent. That took time. And also how and when to communicate what was and wasn't okay with me. And I guess this is where we morph into kind of my relationship with my stepkids was totally different, because of course their mother's in the picture a lot and they're not with us full time, so that's different right there. And then the other thing is,
it's a very they're not with us.
A very choppy schedule, because it's Tuesday afternoons for only 3 hours, Thursday or 4 hours, Thursday afternoons for only 4 hours, and every other weekend from Friday to Monday morning.
And then we have situations like now with the recent flooding that's around us. It seems like it's been quite a while without them here.
This has been ridiculous. I would say at 4.5 years into being their stepmother, I'm grieving not having them here. It's really, really hard to go from having that relationship and seeing them, and there's a different dynamic when they're home, for sure. And when it's missing for too long, it's hard once that becomes part of you. And I would say, I have no idea how other people do it in terms of their relationship with their stepchildren. But for me, I've always been a mom. That's how I was raised. My mother was extremely nurturing. All of my friends loved my mother. They would have loved to call her mom, because she is just that easy to be with and that easy to love. And she instilled in me that intense love for kids and nurturing disposition. And so for me, that's how I approached my stepkids. And I think at first I may have come on too strong. I know they loved me and got attached to me, but I really I was just so happy to have 4 more kids. I always wanted a big family, and so I embraced them as my own. And I had to take a step back, in a sense, for their sake and their mother's sake, because the whole loyalty issue between mom and stepmom is very challenging for kids to navigate, no matter how much they like you. You know, mom
Yes.
will always be the person they're loyal to.
Yeah.
And a stepmother has to contend with that. And she has to find, and if she's a nurturing type like me, wants to find a gentle way to parent these kids who she knows has loyalty issues in a way that doesn't overstep, but also earns their trust, gains their love, but without making them feel conflicted. Like, it's this balancing act, and I remember a lot of tears at the beginning for me.
Yeah.
And even like the first 2-3 years, I would say.
Yeah.
Lots of.
Yeah, I mean, going from like reading them stories at night and snuggling up and whatnot to a complete aversion.
Yeah.
You know, just like that pendulum just swings
back and forth. Even now.
Even now, I mean, I guess at the beginning, using that analogy, like big swings.
Yeah.
Right. And I guess using the 3 to 7 year time frame.
Yeah.
I guess that pendulum just kind of will swing.
Yeah.
But.
But the swings will get less dramatic.
Yeah.
And
the extremes.
The extremes will get less.
Less dramatic. And I mean, then something will happen where like flick, and then boom, it starts going again.
Absolutely. You know? Like teenage hormones and floods that keep them away for however long. Like, I'm anxious about what it's going to be like when they come home. Like, I so want them home and miss them, but I'm like, I would love to just wrap my arms around them and hug them and tell them I miss them. And, you know, because I feel like I'm not their mother, but I am their stepmother. And that is like its own type of relationship. And it's different than an aunt. It's different than any other relationship. It is a stepmom relationship, and it can be very loving. I don't ever resent my stepkids, ever. They're a part of me just like Esther's a part of me. I mean, yes, the biological connection and the closeness is not the same, but there's still a deep love there. And so it's challenging to be rejected, and stepmoms get rejected a lot.
With the case with Esther, that's the one pitfall I've been able to completely avoid. Not having that other parent constantly in the picture. I mean, for Esther's sake, I mean, there's parts of me that wishes for her that her biological father was
more present.
Mm-hmm. You know, just for her. Like, I can't imagine what she feels.
Yeah, I try to get a picture of what she feels myself, but she just doesn't like to talk about it. So, she shuts me down every time. And sometimes, like, if she texts him or he texts her or whatever, she'll tell me about it, but she will not get into the feelings about it.
No.
So
she definitely has a defense mechanism up.
Yeah.
Like, even with the odd time, I ask her, so have you touched base with your dad recently? And her response will be like, oh, you're right here. It's like
yes, exactly. No, and I mean, the thing is, as long as you're okay with that, it's where she's at. And I mean, I guess sometimes I know I married the right man, a man who was very capable of being a father to someone who wasn't biologically his child. Otherwise I wouldn't have married you. You know what I mean? Like, so I, trust you with her to the uttermost, but sometimes I wonder, or I maybe don't wonder anymore. I think it was more like earlier on in the relationship, I wondered, how heavy is this for you? Because I think for women, we're naturally quite nurturing, and to take on someone else's children doesn't seem a lot, at least not for me. But I don't know how it is for men.
Not something I was like conscious about.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's different, right? Yeah. And it took work in a different way than being a father to your own kids. Yeah,
I mean, a father's generally, we're nurturing, but we're not as nurturing, I would say, typically.
Well, you definitely are.
Men aren't, I think, as nurturing as mothers. There's different roles.
Yes, they are different roles.
So I guess my in my being, like, a lot of it was kind of around, I guess, the respect aspect.
Mm-hmm.
So like, what would get me is either my feeling disrespected, or
Yeah.
more so, like with Esther's seeing like you get disrespected, it'd be like, revert, like,
Yeah. I think, well, one of the things that's a kind of a testament to our relationship, and one of the things I love about you so much, is that you are very protective of me. It was God first, then me. Like, that was never a question. And it never even rose up in my being that there was more loyalty to your ex or to you, even your own kids, than to me. You know what I mean? In the sense that you prioritized our relationship so well. I just felt like you were gifted at that. And so you've always protected me. So I know you're protective of me, and I love that. And yeah, it really helped me when you told me that the way that men, or you in particular, feel love is when you're respected.
Yeah.
When there's a lack of respect, or a seeming lack of respect from tone or attitude, and developing teenagers do that, then that's where it hurts you. And that's where there's like needs to be repair from. And the conversations that you and I had behind closed doors taught me a lot, even just how to help Esther understand you as her stepfather, and her like where you were coming from. Helped me explain that to her, and then that has helped her grow so much. You know, she's a much more balanced kid than when I was a single mom. I mean, I was raising her on my own for 9 years.
So she didn't have like what it's like to have
a father
in the house.
She had a father who would visit once in a while, but not a father raising her in her house. So, and she had to share me.
Yes. Oh, that was the next biggest
I would say
challenge.
It's still a running joke. You know, Esther was, my only child, and so
just the two of you.
It was just the two of us. So she had that only child mentality. I still remember when I got Destiny, the dog, and I love animals, and so Destiny's this little puppy, and I'm fawning all over her, which of course Esther was excited to have a puppy, but she's like, Mommy, do you love Destiny more than me? So when the whole other family came into the mix, I knew that was going to be a challenge for her.
Still is.
Still is. Yeah,
I've learned to kind of navigate and just let things kind of happen. Yeah.
I think our conversations have helped a lot, and I think
big time,
you're very perceptive too, in the sense that you just kind of know, that she had me for 9 years to herself, and it's still an adjustment that there's not just her in my focal point anymore. But
she's been a dream. I mean, she's definitely made it easy.
Yes, everybody loves Esther, and she can definitely push buttons, but she has the softest heart.
She gets that from her auntie.
The argument button. And she knows that. So then, swinging back to me and my stepkids, I think for me the biggest thing is I very slowly taken on a little bit of a discipline role when they're here, if they're really out of line, but mostly I have had to, and I still am very careful to always defer to my husband, especially because the kids have a mom so involved in their life. So it's very much like I can't take over that role. It's just not there. There's not that space. But when they're in my house, I still need the respect from them. And I think, I also need to be respected. And you've been very good about getting...
It's even hard for me, right? Because if something happens that requires like discipline or not so much discipline, but directive upbringing. I don't know what to call it.
Correction.
Correct. But like with the time being so short, like if something happens like on a Tuesday around supper time, and the kids are going, like you got to be very creative on how to handle that situation.
Yeah, because you don't want to leave on a sour note.
No.
Yeah, and I think that is really hard for you and for us both in terms of parenting. It's really hard to, you really have to be creative in terms of picking your battles.
Yeah. Which I think has helped with like our night games, going back to that, because that usually ends things on a positive, positive note. And then the weekends, where they're here for extended time, I guess taking that creative mentality for when things come up. My point is, as far as a blended family is concerned, is my interactions with Esther are different because it's a blended family, but my interactions with my own biological children is different because of the blended family not being like a nuclear, like two biological parents raising kids. It's because they're here, they're gone, they're here, they're gone. So it's just very especially
discombobulated. Yes, and they are here less time with us, much less than they are with their mom, and so it's really challenging to fit that parenting piece in, and to just even establish for the kids what normalcy feels like in our home. They're not visitors. They are our children. They're my stepchildren. They're your biological children. And that relationship is so important. And it's important that it be healthy and not distant. So there's a lot of love and nurturing needed, more than correction. A lot of patience needed. And understanding for the difficult position that they're in. I mean, my parents were never divorced. Your parents were never divorced. So it's very much not something that we can even imagine what it must be like for them, having to go from one dynamically different house to another. And they deserve the time to settle in. I mean, when I go somewhere new, it takes me time.
Hey, that should be maybe one of our next videos. Transition.
Very good segue, honey.
Yes.
Yes, I think so. I think transitions should be our next topic.
Yeah.
I like how that works.
Yeah. So I guess the takeaways from this one is take it slow.
Take it slow.
Patience. Take it slow, and just it's a pendulum.
Yeah. It will swing. It will
swing, and just be understanding.
And regardless of the situation, the kids need so much love and deserve so much love and patience and like focused attention. I think one of the things I really love about our time with the kids, even though our dreams were dashed of having that nuclear family, it was like you said in our This Is Us video, we talked about how we're more intentional with the time with the kids, and it's not about a competition with anyone else. It's literally about how much we value the kids and the time with them, because there's nothing constant, nothing certain, so to speak. So I think it makes us focus more on the positives, because we can't afford to focus on the negatives. And I think that would be a huge takeaway too. If you're just at the start of a blended family situation, I'd say, sit down with your kids, find out what they like to do, always communicate with your spouse about parenting. I think we have had at the beginning and have so many regular meetings with each other.
Yes. Yeah.
Over parenting. And like, this is what one child is saying and doing, and how should I deal with this kind of thing. Like, instead of just reacting, which of course we've both done in the moment, sometimes we've learned and are learning to come to each other, talk it out, and come up with a game plan.
Yeah. And just another thought that hit me too, as far as the patience and what goes hand in hand of not forcing things.
Right.
Like not forcing relationships, because when you get in, I mean, you just as a parent, you just want everyone just to get along, and you want to do whatever you can to meld those relationships. Yeah. Where when you're starting out, especially, again, you have to take it slow. Like if there are traditions that you would do, like at the beginning, I would want to have you involved.
Yeah.
But it's like, no, the kids need it slow.
Yes.
It's, so for these things, it was just me. So
yeah.
It
Yeah.
continues to be just me in these situations. And
right. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. In some cases, like the one-on-ones, it's very much just you and the kids.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're thinking of a different example.
No, that's an example as well.
It's funny because because your kids have this tradition of one-on-ones with you. So one child with you for a certain number of hours, and it's them and you, and that's what they expect. And I never had an issue with that. I thought that was wonderful. And of course, that's the opportunity I take to do some one-on-one with Esther, because of course she used to have me one-on-one all the time. Now it's funny because she actually values the two-on-one. And, it's an adjustment for her when the other kids come home, even though she misses them when they're not here and she wants them home.
Yeah.
And she feels lonely when they're not here and she'd rather they stay here all the time. She does also value the two-on-one time, and there is a little bit of jealousy in that transition period for her too.
Lots of dynamics.
Yeah. Yep. And so
lots of navigating.
Yes. Patience.
Patience.
And slowness. And I had to kind of blend in sometimes and wait for the child to invite me in.
Yeah.
So if it was one of your kids, I kind of learned over time to be invited in.
Yeah.
And then I could be welcomed. And sometimes I wouldn't be invited in. And that had to be okay too.
And then for me is, letting the child or kids take the lead in inviting you instead of me wanting to force like Lori, you should do this with us, or join us, is trying to let the kids take the lead and
they feel so valued and respected by that when that happens, and then they don't feel suffocated or that there's this expectation on them, and that way the relationship can develop a lot more naturally. It's and that's where I learned to serve a lot as a stepmom. Serve the meals and be there, be in the room. If they come into the kitchen, like Aaron will come into the kitchen and chit chat and, be willing to stop what I'm doing or continue it, but chat with her, that kind of thing. Take those moments that she's willing to give, but not push too far ahead, and take opportunities, little things that I can see that they love or value, and do something to reach them in that area, like Erin loving to read and surprising her with a book. And not that I'm trying to buy anything,
buy her affection.
Not that I'm trying to buy her affection, but just she'll mention something to me even in passing, not asking me for anything. And while she's away, I will do something that tells her I thought of her while she was away or busy or whatever. And the same with Theo and Micah, and of course Caleb doesn't come very often.
No.
So anyway, lots of patience and lots of love. That would be the recap.
And next, hopefully we do transitions.
Yes. And how to navigate transitions
from early stages to later stages, or I guess we're in the mid stage right now. We're not in the later stage.
We're in a mid stage right now, definitely. The kids are still young enough that lots of things are still molding, and it's still new enough in our marriage relationship that everything is still molding. So, but we will talk about transitions next time, and that will be next week.
Yes.
So thanks for joining us, and don't forget to go on to our other channel, which is called
Blend It Like the Christians.
Yes.
I had to think about that.
Yeah. Sometimes I want to put the word with in there because it's still new. But yes, we've got lots of fun going on there, and you can kind of see the fun that we like to have as a family. And so thanks for watching. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.